What is going on, guys? It is Trifecta Jake here with episode 40 of my Kings My GM, and you can see the Chicago Bulls are your NBA champions, defeating the Los Angeles Lakers in the finals. I believe it was 4-2, 4-1 actually. I'm pretty sure the Lakers won game 1, but then the Bulls came back with the next 4. Your finals MVP is Derrick Rose, 32 points in the finals, an incredible performance, 5 rebounds and 7 assists, along with nearly 3 steals a game, so a great performance from him. A look at the retiring players: Paul Pierce, Dirk, Birdman, Manu Ginobili, and Jameer Nelson all retire, and the only ones who got into the Hall of Fame are Dirk and Paul Pierce. Surprised not to see Manu, but I'm not exactly sure how old he was when he actually got into the NBA, because I'm pretty sure he played a good bit in Argentina before coming over. Now a look at our owner goals. He wants us to go out and sign a guy who is 87 or higher. That will be very difficult to do. You pretty much have to go out and sign a superstar in free agency, which right now we don't have the money in terms of salary cap to be able to do that. A look at our funds, putting pretty much all we can into staff payroll and then putting the rest into player payroll and a couple of the other things. Now a look at the draft lottery. The Magic with a 14th pick, and we actually don't have any first round picks right now, so that might be something that we look to trade for. But the Nuggets, Jazz, and Wizards, so the Jazz, who were the 3 seed in the West, now have the number 2 pick, while the Wizards have the number 1 pick, so they can get a good guy to join Anthony Davis in Washington. Our assistant GM wants us to go out and sign a new assistant coach to replace the current one. That was pretty much a goal of mine, and I went out and found Vince Carter was an option. So he gets a 3-year deal, so now Vince Carter is going to be one of our assistant coaches. That's an awesome hire, I think. A look at now our head coaching position, and once again I wanted to go out and sign a big guy. Dave Yeager was available, but we were just short of having the funds to be able to sign him. We went out and found Logan Schmidt. He looks to be a pretty good guy. None of the badges, I'm not sure how much of a big deal that is, but he would go ahead and get a 1-year contract. We'll see how he does and maybe look to get another head coach who maybe is a little bit better. Now a look at our player options. I picked up the options for Montrezl Harrell and Stanley Johnson, but did decline the one for Nick Moore. Nick Moore, I believe we acquired in the Eric Moreland trade, so he wasn't a guy that I was really key on bringing back. I thought we could maybe find a better guy, or if we really needed to, we could bring him back in free agency. We would offer Ben McLemore a qualifying offer to make him a restricted free agency. Did not offer one to Tyrone Wallace. Same thing with Nick Moore. Didn't really plan on bringing him back. If he was a guy that I really did want to get back, I could just sign him in free agency. But Ben McLemore, he is an expired free agent, and I definitely wanted to bring him back. I think he has a lot of potential. So it ended up being a 3-year deal for about $22.5 million. So just over $7 million a year, basically, somewhere in that range. It's between 7 and 8, but now we go into the draft, see who the picks of the future are. Like I said, right now we don't have a first round pick. Harry Giles, who's played really well, and I guess whatever basketball tournament, the FIBA, I guess is what it would be. He played really well. Tyler Davis out of Texas A&M. Malik Monk goes 13th overall, and then we get an offer from the Orlando Magic for the 14th pick. It's our 2018th pick, and J.R. Smith. I kind of planned on upgrading that shooting guard spot, because J.R. Smith, he's getting older. His ratings aren't quite where I would think they would be shooting-wise. So it's just something that I wanted to upgrade. And we go out and pick Chris Dunn. He's 6'3", a point guard, good defender, and he's just a good playmaker. But as we got into the second round, the Clippers offered us a trade. I would end up working it around a little. Ends up being Chris Dunn and our second-round pick for Reggie Bullock. He's going to be our replacement for J.R. Smith. When I was looking at Chris Dunn's stats and his potential, it ended up not being quite as good as I thought he was going to be. So I just flipped him, and our second round pick, I might have overpaid a little bit for Reggie Bullock, but he was a guy that I came into the offseason and really wanted to get. With our second round pick, we picked Daniel Hamilton. He's a 6'9" shooting guard, small forward, so basically a wing, and he looks to be really good. He can shoot the ball, not a great defender. He's out of UConn. Ben McLemore, but he would accept that contract offer, so that was big to get him back. And then we would look at some of the top free agents. James Harden, LaMarcus Aldridge, Nerlens Noel, and Gordon Hayward are your top free agents. One thing that I wanted to upgrade was our backup center spot. Right now we have Montrezl Harrell pretty much as our backup center, or Amita Brima. I don't think Brima right now has the ability to be a really good backup center on a contender, and I don't think Montrezl Harrell has the size that I need, as he's 6'8". He has the girth, so you could play maybe Ivan Rabb at 6'10", but then he doesn't really have the weight to be able to play there. And we would end up getting Festus Ezeli on a 3-year deal, about $5 million a year. I thought that was a pretty good deal. One guy I wanted to look at, I wanted to sign another wing, maybe as a depth option, was Glenn Robinson, but I just did not have the amount of cap that I needed, and so I would start to look at other options. And one guy I found was Deshaun Pierre out of Dayton, so he would get a 2-year deal, basically a good chunk of our mid-level exception, and he would accept that. So it was about 2 years for $3.5 million. Yeah, 2 years, $3.5 million. I think it could be a nice depth option and could even play a little bit as our shooting guard. But one of the things coming to this offseason I really wanted to improve was our free throw shooting. That was a big detriment to us. We were one of the worst free throw shooting teams in the entire NBA, and that ended up costing us a good bit in the playoffs, cost us some games, especially against the Lakers. We were shooting like 50% on 34 free throw attempts, which cost us so many points. So that was a big thing that I definitely wanted to work on. Now we look at the training camp. Spin McElroy be put to the perimeter defender. Ivan Rabb I sent to the perimeter shooting, not so much for a 3-point shot, but that mid-range shot and maybe like a little pick and pop. I wanted him to get that down and be a little bit better at that. Our owner has some goals. He wants us to pick up a first-round pick. I don't really know how I'm going to be able to do that. That will definitely be difficult. He wants us to win the division. That was something that I definitely plan on doing. He wants us to sell out 41 home games, and on his wish list, he wants us to make the conference finals. That is my goal. My real goal is to win the NBA finals. So that is something that I definitely think we can do and will do. But we do have a trade. Ivan Rabb really went up in the offseason. We signed Festus Ezeli, so that pretty much made Montrezl Harrell expendable. It would be very difficult for him to get the amount of minutes that he would need, and it would just be hard to really keep that core intact. And also you can see our top 7 players are all 80 overalls. Minutes are going to be very hard to come by, and I really worry about that, along with the morale of this team really going down when players don't get the playing time they feel they deserve. So this team is going to have to withstand that, and if they can stay together, I think this is definitely a title contender and maybe a team that can really win the title. I guess that's what a contender is, but really now has that ability, has that strong bench. Last year we really killed on the boards, and I think our second unit is going to be so much better rebounding. Now a 7-footer and a 6'10 guy instead of a 6'8 and 6'10. That just makes such a big difference along the offensive boards and really the defensive boards, because that's really a place that the Lakers hurt us in the Western Conference Finals. I also think our wing depth is going to be a lot better with players like Kent Bazemore, Reggie Bullock, Deshaun Pierre, and even Daniel Hamilton might get a little playing time. I thought about playing him in sort of an ultra big lineup or a team that's big but can also get out and run very well. I think that could be very interesting. But my goal is to get to the playoffs as fast as I can, so there's probably going to be less regular season games this year. Just trying to really get there as fast as I can and really try and make a deep playoff run and maybe even get to the finals or even win it. But I think this team now has that talent that you need to win a title. They have the depth that you need, the shooting, the defense, everything that you need. The only thing that worries me is because we are so talented, it might be very difficult to keep players happy with the minutes that they're receiving. Like you look at the Warriors, they had a lot of players sacrifice and come off the bench like Andre Iguodala or David Lee. That's just something that we're going to have to be ultimately successful. But this is also still a very deep Western Conference, just like it is in real life. A lot of young teams have improved. The Timberwolves will only get better. The Jazz have some nice young players. The Nuggets suffered a lot of injuries last year and had 3, I believe, picks in the lottery. So they have a lot of young talent, can make a run at maybe an 8 seed and challenge a 1 seed. It could just be a very interesting playoff. But I hope you did enjoy. If you did, please leave a like down below. Leave your comments on the offseason and the moves that we made and just what you think of it and this team and the outlook moving forward. And what is your prediction for this team and how far do you think they'll go this season? But like I said, let me know that all down below. I will see you for the first time that we'll play with this new unit in a regular season game, 'cause I'm out.